Do 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 do
Do do do do do do do do do. Clyde Dashing, Telemachus, Bride. Gee, thank you guys so much for joining. Clyde Dashing, very cool. Thank you guys for joining today. Order your ham.
The great American country ham.
Oh my gosh.
No, no, we're not
Oh,
doing this.
look at those.
We're
Look at
not
that
doing this.
ham.
Let's skip the
I
ad.
want that ham.
Stop.
I'm ordering me some ham. Edwards Smokehouse. How long is this?
We're not watching the stop.
Oh
Skip. I
man.
will take it
Look
away.
at those. Look at that ham though. I gotta order some ham. We're
We
just
don't say
playing.
that.
We're just playing. Don't worry about it, buddy.
Can you be quiet for a minute? He's trying to make something.
Hey Joey. Be quiet, bub. All right. Okay, let's see what we got here. Is this camera on? Look at that. Who is that with the pointed hat?
McG.
McGee boy.
Don't ever do that again.
Oh. Oh, Neil Morgan is on here.
Any more Godzilla updates?
You never know when Godzilla may rear his ugly head. Yeah.
Is that what you want to talk about tonight?
What do we have to go over tonight?
I don't know. I don't have your list. It's 7:59.
Oh, we'll see. We still have another minute.
Or that one says 8. That one says
Still have
7:59.
another minute.
Because you never
Just
have.
relax, lady.
You never have the
I gotta
correct
get
things.
something to drink.
Oh my! You've been
There's
over
like
here.
one clock in the entire room that's different, and you always look at that one. One clock.
It's the big clock right in front of my face. That you say,
One
hey, look at this clock. It'll be right there, and then you won't have to look down at the bottom.
One clock.
Look at me. I'm so smart. Hurdy, hurdy, hur. Can I have a drink?
Uh-huh. It tastes like dirt.
I know. You say that every time, and you act like I don't know.
On air. Howdy, y'all. Howdy,
Hey, look.
y'all.
Ugh.
Wow, you drank all my tea.
You are disgusting.
What are you talking about?
You said tea. I thought you said pee.
Wow.
Hence,
Wow.
disgusting.
Wow. Well, since you actually drank the tea, and that's what I said.
It didn't sound like that when you were walking away.
Get a load of this one. Hey, everybody, this is Dave here at Pulp Alley, and tonight I am with the world's most dangerous Bessy. Howdy, y'all from Kansas. Kenneth, very cool. Howdy, Kenneth, over there in New Mexico. Very cool. We need to do another. Pulp Fest this upcoming year. We need to see if we can honey glazed. Honey glazed ham. Yeah, ham. Sign me up for that. I do love me some ham. Do love me some ham.
We can talk ham all night.
Remember last year when Dave Lowe came, I think Kenneth was talking about trying to come along with him, and then it didn't work out in the last minute.
And I got Carol instead.
Maybe this year we can get Carol and Dave and Kenneth, all three of them, get them all to come up here. That would be awesome. Maybe we get some folks to come from another state too. It's just a short drive, just a short hop, skip, and a jump.
Just depends on where you're from. How you look at it. Just depends on how you look at it.
It's not far.
When it's worth it to see. All this.
And we might even serve you lemonade in the garden. No guarantees.
All
there you
natural
go.
lemonade.
Oh, all natural. What other kind is there?
Carbonated from the,
Oh, from this.
yeah.
That
I guess
thing.
the fountain.
So
Otherwise known as
we've been having a ball with the magic rules. I hope y'all have been enjoying it too. And we've been doing a lot of Harry Potter games, Harry Potter themed games, using the new magic rules as a good excuse to include just tons of spells in the
Yeah.
game. I think if we were doing a little bit more of like Dungeons and Dragons, doing a fantasy sort of game, maybe we would have a healer, maybe we would have a wizard, or a magic user, whatever they call them these days. Um, but we would probably have less spells going off.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
part of the fun is doing the Harry Potter thing is that we could just put a bunch of wizards out there and have a bunch of
I
different
think the
spells
technical
going off.
term is buttload.
Well, I'm this happens to be a family friendly
They all have butts. Everybody has
show,
butts.
sir, madam. So let's talk a little bit about the spells. I hope you guys have been enjoying this, watching the spells on Sundays also. So let's talk about what's been working, what hasn't been working, what some of our favorites are, what needs to be tweaked. So let's just go start on Harry Potter,
Okay.
Luminiter,
I
and
don't-
there's several different versions of Luminiter. There was a version where you nearby friendly characters automatically pass spells, and there was a version where they simply got a bonus. And now I think I'm going to go back and try the other version of automatic again, maybe this Sunday. But I don't know if that spell is going to get used this Sunday because uh, we're probably not going to have Mr. Potter.
Correct.
Thoughts about Luminiter? Has it ever done anything?
I don't know that I've ever thought, gee, I'd pick that spell.
There you go. So I thought it was going to be super awesome. So far, it's turned out to be something of a dud. And that's what playtesting is for. So,
And I think it also depends on the scenarios.
correct.
You get a
And the
scenario.
terrain.
Yeah,
and
you
the
get one
terrain.
where it's like really perilous, and where
Yep.
it's like the fog where it's coming in, and if you're
Mhm.
activating in the
Mhm.
fog, then you're getting a peril every time you activate. Then
Mhm.
something like that would be fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
But-
We actually did that scenario too. And I don't even think Illuminator got cast even during the fog scenario, but it is what it is. So I appreciate your comments as well. Is it a spell that we're just not going to end up including? And when we finally get around to releasing this, um, the trade-off has really been that it is a full action because I thought, this is really powerful. So the fact that you just automatically, not only does the caster automatically pass all of their perils, but friendly characters within 6 inches or 12 inches or something also automatically pass theirs. So it creates this big zone where, you and your buddies don't have to worry about perils, which I thought was really powerful, but it hasn't been.
Yeah.
And that's why it was a full action. So moving it down to just being a regular action might actually make it get cast a little bit more. Let's talk about Ignis Ictus. What do you guys think about Ignis Ictus? Ignis Ictus is that blasty spell that not only does Harry have it, Harry Potter had Ignis Ictus.
2 of the Death Eaters
but
did.
2 of the Death Eaters also had it.
So it got used a lot last week.
Yeah, and they were throwing it. Thoughts about Ignis Ictus?
I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Possibly one of the most frequently cast spells that we've had so far.
Probably definitely in the top one.
It gets cast often. It is a straight up attack spell. goes against a single target, and it tries to do a bunch of damage to them.
Yeah, it sort of feels like shooting, kind of.
Mhm.
It has
Mhm.
that sort of vibe to it.
Yeah. It doesn't, and Jenny was getting a lot thrown at her,
Mhm.
because she had the major plot point in the last scenario
Yeah.
for several turns. So she was getting a lot of Ignis Ictus thrown at her way, but she was able to hold on.
Yeah.
She was able to hold on
Or yeah, because even if I failed it, I managed to
past
pass
the
some
health
pretty
checks. Yeah.
pretty big health checks.
Yeah. Yeah. Thoughts about Ignis Ictus? Do you guys know what we're talking about? That's that blasty one. Pretty good one. I think it has been working out really well. I don't if we get around to when we get around to doing some more balancing for Ignis Ictus, um, it's a candidate for a line of sight. So right now, it does not say line of sight, nor does it say nearest
Mhm.
enemy, but it is a candidate that could end up getting both of those tacked on. Right now, in this kind of playtesting environment, we want to just leave it open so you don't have to have line of sight and you don't have to just use it against the nearest enemy.
Yeah.
Who knows once we get a little further along in this and we start trying to balance some of those things. Kenneth says when perils place an enemy in contact, it hinders characters casting spell. In the fog, spiders kept showing up. When perils place an enemy in contact, it hinders.
Yeah, because when you're in contact, you can't. Right, you can't cast.
Yeah, if you were in a perilous area, you could still cast a spell as long as you didn't as long as you didn't fail the peril. If you fail the peril, yeah, that's going to end your activation, so you're not going to get to cast. But um, no, I don't think.
Well, but if a spider's in contact with me,
Oh yeah, if a spider's in contact, yeah, yeah. If spiders are in contact, let's see.
places an enemy in contact, it
When
hinders.
perils place an enemy in contact, it hinders character spell. And the fog spiders keep showing up. Yep, yep. Yeah, they kept getting into contact with the characters. Luminiter has been very useful in our group. So Mr. Lowe has been trying these spells out as well. In the scenario cards, we kept getting spiders. Good, good, good.
Yeah.
That's good. And the spiders, that can be pretty rough on the characters. And Bessie and I were talking about this earlier. In that, I think in that very first game that we play tested for you guys, that we showed you anyway, I think that was the fog scenario.
Yeah.
And
We did a lot of shooting in that.
yes, yeah. But I think that was the last time. I think since then the characters have learned, I think, from the idea, and now they're far more likely to try and dodge away if they get engaged with the spider,
Yes, I learned my lesson.
rather than trying to brawl the spider or just shooting. The last few games that we've done playtesting, I can't think of anybody brawling or shooting at all.
No. And I
It's
think with the other spider one, we did a lot more fragor with it instead of shooting.
So let's move on. Yeah, good comments there. Luminiter has been very useful in the last group. Last time we played Gloomwoods, wizards were accompanied by escorts. It was really handy to deal with the perils and the challenges. Yep. Yeah, and Gloomwoods also has the fog in it a lot. All right. A couple of the spells that Hermione Granger has been using is Fragor.
Mhm.
So Fragor has definitely got cast a few
Yeah,
times
I've definitely used it.
in multiple scenarios. And what it does is it's an ephemeral spell, so it just goes off and the number of successes that you roll equals the number of targets you can pick. So
Yep.
you can pick. I think we've had like some at least once or twice we've hit like 3 targets.
Yeah.
Um, so it's been pretty cool.
Hmm. I think it was definitely more effective against the spiders than it was against the Death Eaters, but I think it was still.
Yeah, I don't remember it hurt. It is. I think it's more geared towards dealing with weaker stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're trying to use Fragor to affect a bunch of sidekicks, well, they're more likely to pass
Yeah.
that
For
than they
sure.
are to
Yeah.
fail it.
Yeah.
But we saw it hitting multiple spiders,
And
and
got all of them.
yeah,
Except for
yeah,
maybe one.
yeah,
I think it got 4, and
yeah.
or it got
So
quite a few.
that was pretty good. So Fragor has been working out really well. At this point I don't really see, um, maybe it's one of those again that will be a candidate for line of sight. That it has to be within line of sight of the caster. That the Fragor spell will not penetrate through walls or terrain like that. So that's that could come up, but for now we're not doing that. The other spell she has is Sonatactus, and I don't think that's really been cast.
I know I
Did
did it
get-
once
Yeah,
in that first one, and I'm not
yeah,
sure about if I did it.
and
It is a very small. It's like 3 inches, so
3
you have
inches.
to be pretty close.
Yeah, again, it's a powerful spell.
Yeah.
So it's a full action, so that means it's hard to cast.
Yeah.
It can only work on yourself or a friend within 3 inches,
Mhm.
but it's almost guaranteed to heal them.
Yeah.
The fact that it doesn't just give them a roll. If you pass the check, then they're going to get a heal. Or the new version of it clearly states that it could remove a horror effect. It can remove a condition. So back when characters could get poisoned and things like
Yeah.
that, I thought it was going to get used a little bit more, but I very seldom got my poison on you either. So does it actually need to be a full action? Could we move it down to just being an action where you could move 6 inches and still throw it?
I don't know.
I don't know. So maybe we need to try that. Eric Miller, just jumping on. Hope I didn't miss much.
No, we're
We're
just
kind of
blabbering.
talking through the spells. Emindo. Emindo is cast as ephemeral spell, and it's kind of like the opposite of Fragor, where you get to pick a number of enemies, and they each have to roll a 1 dice health check. What this does is you get to pick a group of friends. So the number of successes that you roll is the number of friends or yourself that you could pick, and every character you pick gets to roll a recovery check. So thoughts?
I haven't had to use it,
Mm-mm.
but we haven't really had a lot of wounds.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we've recovered pretty well at the
Yeah.
end of turns and stuff.
Mhm.
So,
I would say so. So probably hasn't been tested as much as I would like it to
Yeah.
be. So I think it's only been cast, at least the videos that y'all have seen, only a couple times.
if that,
Maybe once.
maybe once. So,
And then all it does is give them a recovery check. So you could actually cast it, pick 3 of your friends, and they could fail it. All 3 of them could fail. But what are the chances that you're going to have 3 friends that are injured anyway?
yeah.
It's just an action. It's not a full action. So we'll see. Area periculos. Basically, all that does is creates a
Perilous area.
perilous area.
Yeah. I used it quite a bit on the Death Eaters. I don't know. We talked about
You did.
We did talk
You were
about
dropping it
changing
on
it,
the Death Eaters like crazy.
but
And that was Jenny. She was
Jenny
moving
was,
away and,
yeah,
and throwing
yeah,
periculus on
yeah.
it. What kind of changes could we make to it?
Well, you had mentioned if we were going to put it on somebody that it would be opposed
Yes.
versus
Yep.
unopposed.
Yep. Yep. I
So.
think if you're going to drop it directly on somebody, um, then I think that's going to change it to being an opposed role. If it has an enemy in it, then but then that brings up questions like what if I put it on two characters? How is that going to work?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit neater and cleaner just to not to have to screw with that and just say cast it and drop your perilous area. Besides that, it's not going to really affect them until they activate anyway. So I don't know. We may leave it the way it is, but that was
I don't
something
think
that
it did anything
no, I mean,
except perhaps Cord when he was hurt.
yeah,
I think it
maybe.
might have,
Yeah,
but it certainly didn't affect the full strength sidekick
yeah,
when she did it.
yeah. And
It didn't.
I think you hit her with it several times.
Several
too.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, area periculos. I liked that there were enchantments and hexes let you theme your spellcaster. Yep. How would it affect a gang? Remember that a gang is a character, so it affects a gang exactly like it would affect a character. That's always your go-to rule. Whenever you're not sure about how a spell or something's going to affect a character, just like if you put a burst on a gang, it just means you would treat it exactly like you would if a burst was placed on a character. So you draw the peril. If they fail it, they take the hits. If they pass it, they get to move on. That is how a gang works. It has multiple models, but those are really just used mainly to keep track of, their relative strength at the moment. Um, so, yeah, area periculos would just be putting them in a perilous area. I like being able. I like it being an area. Why is that stupid heart there? I can't read.
I know. I'm not thrilled with it. You can click it and like heart a comment, but
Oh, it's annoying.
I think because the effect is variable depending on peril drawn.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Okay. So that's area periculos. And now we're going to talk about abscutum. Abscutum?
We've used it quite a bit. I think it's been used in every scenario.
Yeah.
I think it was probably the most helpful against the spiders. I don't know that maybe because those were NPCs,
right?
More than like played characters, because
right.
then like, oh, right. I'm gonna get bounced, so obviously I'm not gonna,
right. When it's played characters, they're simply not going to run up and bounce. NPCs don't have a choice. Basically, NPCs do what they're supposed to do, which is come at you. Now, the change for abscutum is going to come up this Sunday.
What's the change again?
So we are going to do another version of the rules, magic rules for this Sunday, and it's going to be a little bit of a middle ground between the version that had quite a bit of counters in it and the version that had no counters.
Yep.
So this version is going to be called the green counter version, and it is called that because you only have to use one color of counters for it. You don't have to keep track of who cast it and things like that. And for that one, I think we're going to try the rule where when somebody bounces, it removes one of the counters off of it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because that's one of the things I noticed from last Sunday. Friendly spells really had almost no chance of going down.
Yeah.
So once you cast Abscutum on Ron, based on the way we played it last week, and it doesn't mean that we're going to change it permanently or we'll go back to that, that's part of the playtesting. We just have to look at what we're going to do as far as that spell. So we'll try different ways with
Mhm.
it. Let's see. So the version that we're going to try on this Sunday is when you cast the spell, it's going to get a number of tokens, and then every time it bounces somebody, it's going to lose a token. So from that point of view, the enemy could send in like weak characters to
Yeah,
get bounced.
strategically.
Yeah, just to try and weaken your shield until they send in somebody that's going to run up there and put a
Come
fist
on.
to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other spell is Debilitari. Debilitari reduces or hinders the enemy's brawl and might. It's a debuff spell.
Yeah. I used it, but I don't know that it did a whole heck of a lot
Yeah.
against him. But they
So
were
it's
pretty beefy
mhm,
on their might.
mhm.
So if I did get something, it didn't really do much.
Okay. Okay. The other thing about it is that it kind of depends on how many cards your opponent has to deal with.
Yeah.
So as we get further into the spell casting, I feel like it's actually been harder for the players to keep cards in their hands because they're more likely to burn them through their wand
Yeah.
and things like that to
Yeah.
try and pump up their spells. So
But I think
debilitary.
there's a lot more that are, I guess, usable for discard.
Hmm.
Because a lot of them are like, oh, +1, or just like clear shots and things like that
Hmm.
that aren't
Aren't going to get used.
are probably not going to get used at all. So then you can just, you can throw them. But it definitely does make you sometimes rethink. Oh, I probably shouldn't have.
So one of the
Discarded.
things about debilitari and hexes that are enchantments like Imperactus and things like that, and one of the changes that we're going to do for this Sunday, again, when you cast that, the power of it is going to be placed with the number of counters. So you're going to put that on the enemy, just like we did last week. But if they pass their recovery at the end of the turn to try and shake that spell off, all it's going to do is remove a token. So it does not completely remove the spell. So the stronger the spell is when it's cast on you, the
The
more
longer it'll
likely is it's
linger.
going to
Yeah.
stay. So that's one of the things. Like if you look at like last Sunday that we played, I think the baddies had several ugly enchantments cast on the good guys on the first turn. And when it came spell recovery, they all recovered from their spells and shook off all of those spells.
I think maybe
Maybe one of them stayed.
once. Well, not that first time. I think all of them did, but I
Yeah.
think throughout the game there might have been maybe one, maybe two that
That
carried
hung
over into the
around.
next,
Yeah.
but almost across the board,
Yeah.
we recover. Both sides
They were
recovered
they were
pretty.
being shaken off.
Yeah,
They're
pretty
a
quickly.
little too easy, I felt like. So I want to try a little different variation of that for this Sunday. And we'll just see. We'll just see how it works. So
It could be pretty brutal.
Imperactus will impair your actions. So that could be big against the spellcaster because casting spells is an action. So that could really tie you up.
Yeah.
Especially if you're running yourself out of cards. The other spell that Morglaive had was Ignis Ictus. I think we are going to use the Death Eaters again this Sunday. What do you think about demons?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel like it did a lot, but maybe that's because it kept getting shaken off too
Yeah,
easily.
I think that's actually one that lingered. But I think it really depends on the horror. Like
Mhm.
I passed a lot of my horror checks.
Correct. All it does is give you a horror
So
check.
so it's not a guarantee.
Right.
And then when I drew it, it wasn't
Was it huge?
a huge,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a crushing
So-
horror.
definitely see how that one goes. His Nyla's other spell is Imperactus, so we've already talked about that one. One of Lox's spells is look, we gotta add. Wonder how that works. Oh no.
I think it kind of pauses it because it's
There's no
behind now.
way. Do what?
It kind of just stops it because it's behind. Like
Yeah, but it's always behind.
it's very behind.
Now it's very behind.
Yeah, because you can actually um, see there's like a gap there. You could actually.
Oh, okay. Um, Lux also has demons. Lux also has Agio.
I think that came in handy for Nay. I don't know
Yeah,
that it was necessarily utilized
right. Yeah,
in
yeah.
that particular scenario,
I think the
but
thing about the buff spells is that you have to take the early hit. Like if you're really aggressive and you just want to go, 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 then maybe you don't slow down enough to drop these kind of spells on your characters to make them tougher throughout the scenario.
yeah,
So Agio gives the character a +1 to their brawl and to their might. And getting a +1 to your brawl might not matter, but getting a +1 to your might could help you for the rest of the scenario.
yeah. Especially, yeah, definitely when
You
you're
know,
going against.
so and the fact that you can also cast it on your buddies.
Yeah,
You know, so that's that's one that you almost have to take the hit early. You have to say, instead of casting an offensive spell to start off with, I'm going to go ahead and cast that buff
yeah,
so I'm stronger throughout the rest of the
yeah.
scenario. Um, and then the last character, Cord, has spells that we've already talked about also, has Ignis, Ictus, and Agio. So the buff spells, I think, can be good, but you just have to take the hit. You just have to decide that I'm not going to, you know,
Yeah, and it's funny because I think when she did that, then it became like, oh, I almost targeted him more.
because he was buffer.
Yeah, because then it was like, oh, he's gonna come in and I have
Yeah,
nothing for that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
then it was like,
yeah. Very cool. So, for this Sunday, I think we're going to try to get McGonagall out there. I had a dwarf wizard in the last game. Uh, did help the allies in the group. Yep, yep, that's good. That is good. Exactly. I haven't been keeping track. Do you have a dispel magic type? We've talked about that. We've talked about, yes, we have at least two different spells that take down others' spells. Uh, we have not used them in the game that you guys have seen so far, though. So we've talked about trying to introduce one of those this
mm-hmm.
Sunday. So that's actually one of the things that we hoped to talk a little bit about tonight, but we didn't get a chance to. We didn't quite get far enough into it. So we're going to use McGonagall this Sunday. So she's going to have possibly a couple new spells that we're going to introduce there. And we may actually give Hermione and Ginny an extra spell at all. Technically, the ability wizard or its arcanist is an ability that you could take as a character, and what it does is it gives you a number of spells equal to your level. So, as wizards, Ginny and Hermione, level 3, would normally have three
3.
spells. We've only been giving them two. And McGonagall would actually have four
Yeah.
spells. So I think we're going to do it that way on Sunday, except the other thing that being an arcanist does is that it hinders your brawl and your shoot.
Yeah.
So both of those skills will be hindered, which means that you only suffer a -1 penalty if you choose not to discard a card. So if you do want to go up and brawl something, you can use your full brawl skill if you choose to discard. bind spells, stop someone from making a move or a move or similar. Yeah, I know we have something in there for that. It hasn't been in any of our. I can't remember what the spell
Live
is called
videos.
right now. It hasn't been in any of our live videos, but it is a. The one that we have right now is that it impairs your move. It doesn't actually stop you completely, but what it does is that it stops you from moving over 6 inches unless you discard a card, which isn't really a big deal against other wizards. But that's could be pretty beefy against, a hand-to-hand monster on the other side of the table that you want to slow them down. So the idea of not letting someone move at all, I, I don't really like that because I don't know. It's a cool spell. It just feels too lockdowny, if you know what I mean. I would rather characters still have a chance to do something instead
Yeah.
of just okay, well I can't do anything, so I'll just stand here, sort of thing. But it's one that we'll be playtesting more, so we'll show you some of that stuff as well. That was a little bit over on time.
was.
I hoped we would actually have more stuff to talk about, but please leave comments on this one. Come back to this video after this posts and let us know what your thoughts about the spells are. What are some of your favorite spells? What have you been liking? What do you think needs a little more tweaking? That sort of thing. Are there spells? I'm glad you guys are talking about the dispel spells that you haven't actually got to see yet, because we'll introduce more spells as we go along as well. There's supposed to be right now. There's supposed to be at least 15 enchantments and 15 ephemeral spells for a total of 30 spells, and I think we've only shown you well under half of that
Yeah.
so far. I think the most we've actually shown you guys so far is about 10 or 11 spells. So there's a lot more spells to come.
All right.
And that's it. Bessy, play us out of here.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Bessy,
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Dave, what was that?
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
You want to come say bye? Come on. Come hop. No, come
No,
on.
here.
Come hop on the chair. You did really good tonight, buddy.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Oh!